Is going to focus on how Europe constitutes a region based on its climate, vegetation, language, trade networks, political units, river systems, and religion. Let's start with climate. Going from north to south, we have a subarctic tundra climate in the far north. Europe is a northern continent, so we're going to find those cold climates. We're also going to find more of the temperate, humid continental and humid oceanic climates. And we're also going to find subtropical dry summer. Often this region is referred to as a Mediterranean climate. Strangely enough, we have the Mediterranean Sea. That's where the climate gets its name. Vegetation. We have forests, particularly in the northern portion of Europe, starting with forests like the Black Forest in Germany, the deciduous forests. And we also have coniferous forests like the taiga in Russia and Scandinavia. Tundra, far north, similar to what we saw in Canada and Alaska. And the Mediterranean climate, we mentioned, that corresponds to this dry area, and where we're going to find grapes, vineyards such as this. We're going to find olives and those type of crops. There are many language groups within Europe, and they correspond mostly to these countries. But historically, the languages that we find relate to the fact that there are several peninsulas, islands, and many mountains in Europe which have isolated linguistic groups and allowed them to develop in isolation. So that's why we find in a region as small as Europe all of these different languages. Trade networks. The major trade network in Europe is the European Union. Even with the issues that it's had recently, it's still very important economically for the region. You can see all the countries that are interconnected there. An older graph, but it gives you an idea of how that each of these countries independently would not be one of the major economies in the world in terms of gross domestic product. But when you put them together, they rival the United States and are larger economies than China, Japan, and India, which gives all of these countries the ability to group together and have world economic power. Some of the countries we need to know from the region politically are countries like the United Kingdom, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Poland, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece. There are a lot of other countries, but those are the ones we need to focus on the most that you might see in terms of the testing situation. The river systems of Europe are important. First, historically, they have interconnected Europe through trade and have been important routes not just for trade but also for communication and even in some areas for invaders to enter. Some major river systems include the Thames in England. London is located on the Thames. The Seine, where Paris is located on the Seine, a major river in France. The Rhine, a major river through the Netherlands, and also Germany, still a large area of industrialization along the Rhine. The Elbe in Germany, also another area of industrialization. The Danube, a very long river that connects many countries through Central and Eastern Europe, and even if we go far into Russia, the Volga. In terms of religion, you can think of religion based on north, south, and east for the most part. Northern Europe is dominated by Protestantism. Southern Europe, we find Roman Catholicism to be much more present. And then in Eastern Europe, we find Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity. Due to the movement of the Ottoman Empire, we also find Islam in large numbers in the Balkan Peninsula, and also large Jewish populations in the region, even after World War II. So when we look at Europe, some factors we need to focus on. Again, the climate, it's a northerly climate, so you're going to find, or continent, so you're going to find cold climates. And the Mediterranean climate along the Mediterranean. In terms of vegetation, obviously going back to that Mediterranean vegetation is important. The vineyards, the olives, the forests, more of the northern part of Europe. Language is based on the many factors that have allowed for isolation within Europe, the peninsulas, mountains. The trade network, the major trade network, is the EU. Those countries we need to remember: Sweden, Norway, the United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece. Some of the river systems, the Thames, the Seine, the Rhine, the Elbe, the Danube, and the fact that religion we could focus in Northern Europe is primarily Protestant, Southern Europe, Roman Catholic, Eastern Europe in this area, we're going to find large numbers of Eastern Orthodox Christians, Muslims because of the movement of the Ottoman Empire, and also pockets of Judaism within the region.